All right. We've also been joined by our race winner, Kyle Larson. We'll continue with questions for Cliff or Kyle. We're going to go up here to Bob.
Bob Parkhurst, Fox Sports. For Kyle, like Cliff said, there was pretty decent high limits wreck for you on Friday. You were supposed to do the truck race, or kind of maybe, but because Byron wanted it, and so you just like, okay, he can do it. And like, what, you wrecked an Indy car a couple of weeks ago. Nothing really seems to bother you or get under your skin too much. Why is that?
I don't know. Maybe I've hit stuff enough. I have a short memory. My memory's faded, but I don't know. I do think it's because I race a lot. I'm guessing. I would say that's a big part of, me being able to move on quickly from things, whether it's a good race or a bad race or, a wreck or good result, bad result, whatever. Mistakes on track. Obviously, though, if it happens multiple times in a row, it can kind of linger a little bit longer, but, more so just hurt your confidence a little bit. But, yeah, I don't know. I think I just race a lot, so it probably helps.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to continue with questions. We'll go to Jeff.
This is probably like more school with Cliff type thing, but so when you're talking about the leader runs such an aggressive pace that their tires burn off more, is that like, so in the old car, let's say like the fastest car of the day, you might have got out to like a 10-second lead, a 13-second lead. You had a big lead today by next-gen standards, but it's still 5 seconds, It wasn't like you're just taking off like the old car used to. Is that because that pace, or like, is that because you're like, we got to save the tires, so slow down, or is it because you can't get away because you're burning the tires faster than the cars behind you?
Yeah, I don't have a great answer for why. I could theorize maybe a little bit. The old car, you can get out to an 8 or 10-second lead. You still see him get out to that in the Xfinity race. I do think it's something just in the tire geometry department, where the sidewall of these tires is a lot different. So the tax on them, the load is just a lot higher. It's been years since you've seen an Xfinity guy lose a tire from low air. Just because there's just so much more material, the sidewall, the overall construction of the tire versus what these tires are. So there's just a lot more, point loading, a lot, quicker abuse that happens along the way. And that over time, whatever the degradation of the tire that it, presents, I think that is why you don't see leaders get out to crazy leads in the next gen era. And even to your point, we may have had a 5-second lead at one point today. But 20 laps later, it was pretty much gone, down to like a second or a second and a half. There just wasn't the lifespan in our tires at that point to keep going forward, and some of those other guys lived a bit longer. We've actually seen it in reverse. I think it was Vegas this year. I think the cycle got broken. We started, towards the back of the field and just not having the pace as the leaders to start a run. At the end of the run, we were crazy faster than the leaders. By the time we got re-established inside the top 4, all of our fall off looked the same, if that makes sense. So there's still some, physics behind what is happening with the tires, and then of course, with the next gen car, the aero dependency, other things like that add to your tire abuse over the run. It all kind of adds up in a bit different way and a bit more, I would say, than the current Xfinity or old car.
And then the other thing I was wondering about is, so like, if nothing else goes wrong with the other Hendrick cars today, I mean, in theory, run 4 cars in the top 5. I mean, you all had speed, and there's been so many years when like the 4th Hendrick car or whatever, like it's hard to get all 4 cars on the same page running so well at the same time. It really feels like right now, though, like results aside, that is the case. Like you guys are all bringing really fast stuff. Why now? Why this year? Is there something different, or what's going on there that everybody's so good?
I don't know that there's a specific why for this year that would be different than the path to get us here. I mean, when you think back to 2021, the last year of the old car, Dover was 1, 2, 3, 4 for Hendrick, and we had some other really good, races for the company that year. To me, it all goes back to, I think it was 2017. Mr. Hendrick demanded that we weren't going to have the building split of 2 teams in different buildings and put us all together. And we say it a lot, and it's one thing to say, but it's another thing to practice of how closely all 4 teams really do work. There's no hidden notes. There's no secret notebook. Everything is shared really out in the open with our engineering core, with the crew chief group. All of our meetings are together. We do everything, as a combination of the 4 teams. There's never any specific meeting or conversation that just happens between a couple groups. If we're going to talk engineering or setup theory, it's going to be with all 4 teams present in the same room. And that's just Mr. Hendrick's vision of how he wanted the company to be led. And I think he saw that if the communication, the teamwork, all the cliche things, but they're so important to live out, if that came into fruition, you see what you see today. Where I would argue we could have run 1 through 4, with the speed of what some of those guys look like, earlier in the day.
All right, we'll continue with questions. Any final questions? Okay, we'll come up to Bob, and then we have one in the back. Okay.
Bob Parkhurst, Fox Sports. Kyle, does it mean anything to go into Indy as the points leader in Cup?
I just think it's really cool. I think it's good for our team. I think it's good for our sport. I think it's good for racing, that the Cup Series point leader is competing in the Indy 500 for the 2nd year in a row. I would say last year was a goal of mine. This year I didn't really think about it, but I do think it puts even more of a spotlight on us and our sport. So I do think it's really cool. And we had a great day. So great points day. And I look forward to next couple weeks and then actually getting to race 600 and hopefully having the point lead after that one too.
Kirk Elliott from Sports Radio 810 WHB Racing Boys. I was curious about the new yellow line beyond your number 1 pit boss. How much of a factor was that? I understand that's something new.
I didn't know. I guess it is new, maybe, but I don't know. Typically, I feel like when you're in the number 1 pit stall, you just like race to the camera, and it's you can win off pit road. And like when I had to drag race the 9, and then I think the 20 later, I was like, although they beat me to the yellow line, I'm sure being the number 1 pit stall, I'm going to be leader here, and that wasn't the case. I was a little surprised by it, but so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's equalized the pit stalls a little bit more, where when the line was choked up closer to the stall 1 before, it was even more of an advantage than, of course, it naturally is. So I think it evened it out a little bit.
All right, we'll continue with questions. We'll go to Zach.
Kyle, I asked Cliff and Chad this, but I'm curious from your perspective, a dominating win like you had today, what can that do to help springboard the month of May this time around? Because it was similar a year ago. Did you notice any sort of benefits to going into the month with that kind of momentum?
No, I think because going back to like the original question and answer I gave, I don't really let a race affect, the next day of my life. So I doubt it's going to do anything for myself, but I'd rather win, leading into, these next couple weeks than have a DNF or something. But I don't really think it matters. It's a totally different car, totally different series, a lot to be learned over the next couple weeks, and I race tomorrow. So, I don't think it matters.
All right.
Caleb Vessel, SpeedwayDigest.com. Kyle, you hit your leading over 10,000 laps in the Cup Series. About over 60% of it has been since you've joined Hendrick Motorsports and been partnered up with Cliff. So I guess my question is for both of you, what makes you guys work together so well? I mean, do you guys go fishing throughout the week? I mean, what do you guys do to keep on dominating the sport?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, the common thing that we have in our relationship is how much pure love we have for racing. We don't go fishing together. We don't even really talk much during the week. But I try to watch every single lap that he runs, Xfinity truck, of course, sprint car, anything else. And we'll maybe share a text quickly back and forth depending on how his night went. Normally I'm telling him good job. This week I was asking him if he was okay. But we love the sport. We love, attacking races, figuring out ways to get better, ways to be faster. We both enjoy, the way we build our team, the way our team interacts and we communicate. We're playing crazy music before the race now. That's a new thing for the 5 teams. So that all of our vision for how we, approach racing together, we're so common in that I don't know. It's just fun. I think it keeps us connected.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would add would be that I think we both just have a lot of trust in each other. I trust that nobody works harder than Cliff and the 5 team, and I think, he knows that although I'm not at the shop all the time, that's me he's trusting me that I'm working to be the best, race car driver I can be, and allowing me to go race all the time and be as crazy busy as I am is only going to benefit us on the weekends. So yeah, it's been pretty amazing since 2021 and joining the 5 team, all the success we've had and all of that. So yeah, to surpass 10,000 laps is really cool, honestly. And they said that we've led the most laps at Kansas Speedway now. So yeah, really cool day.
The playlist, like, I'm just trying to think of some examples. Anything from like 80s, 90s rap to like some soft pop from the late 2000s to maybe some Metallica at times. Like whoever came up with the playlist, it's either Jafar or Mike that are on our car now. You will go from this end of the spectrum to this end of the spectrum, like song to song. It's a lot to keep up with, but it's fun.
Tim Moore, Motorsports Today. Kyle, this is for you. I asked Chad earlier, I'm eager to get your thoughts. This is the fastest in terms of your career you've been to 3 wins. I'm just wondering what differentiates this year as compared to years past, including year where you had the championship.
I don't know. I think I just think the next gen car, it hasn't changed really since it's come out. And I think every team's kind of narrowing in on their setups, and we're no different. So, you learn the car, you learn the style, you just become better, especially when you are up front and leading laps. You learn how to lead a race. You learn how to execute all the little details. So, yeah, I just think, the time and experience with the next gen car is probably helping, the success early on in the year.
You also mentioned to us in a media center on Saturday that in terms of scheduling, you'll start getting excited for the IndyCar once you got out of the car Sunday. Is that still the plan? You're going to get excited tonight?
Yeah, I think just, heading to Indy tonight. I mean, obviously, we're going to Indianapolis, for the Indy 500. But still, I am running a race tomorrow, so I'm probably going to think more about that tomorrow than the IndyCar. But yeah, it's going to be a fun 2 weeks. I look forward to working together with the team, Edo McLaren, and learning the car more, trying to narrow in on our balance, and just trying to have a smooth, couple weeks like we had last year, and execute like you would in any race and try to be in the hunt at the end.
Okay, we'll go to Lee for our final question.
I'm just curious, with all the music talk, do you still do karaoke, Kyle?
I haven't personally done karaoke in a while, but
I need to restart that.
No. I enjoy others singing karaoke, but no, I don't partake in much of that. Maybe my head, but that's about it. I don't even do that anymore, so no thanks.
All right. Well, Kyle and Cliff, congratulations. Kyle, I know you often are very humble in your accomplishments, but in all seriousness, you're only the 22nd driver to achieve the 10,000 laps, only the 3rd current active driver. So huge congratulations there. Congratulations on the win, and we wish you the best of luck in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
In Denny. Yeah. Denny.
Thank y'all for a smooth victory lane.